I've been looking into flat Earth now for probably about 2 years, but more seriously in the last year. And I also had an interest in the Nazca lines. And what I'm going to do here is show you how the two actually relate to each other. To do that, I'll have to take you back a little bit in history to when we took to the skies and we were flying over Nazca, Peru. Because the Nazca lines, you can't really see them unless you're at altitude. So what people were seeing was blueprints. You'll come to find these are blueprints. And people were starting to form a picture of what it was telling them. This blueprint here, it's the Sun Star of Peru. It's a 12 by 12 grid, 6 concentric circles, 6 squares and 6 rhombi. This is one of the Nazca mandalas at Peru. I'll go into more detail what all these lines on that one mean soon. This one's also from Nazca, Peru. It's called the Nazca mandala. Now, it doesn't matter which mandala you look at, whichever religion or location in the world, you'll find they're all telling the same story. There's a square, there's circles, there's things in the corner, and there's something in the center. So my kind of research, I started looking at these, and I started overlaying them with world maps. Here's an image where I was overlaying them with the analemma orbits, trying to make sense of them, and I was surprised how well they fit in with analemma orbits. This one here, there's some more information on it. Basically what it's telling you is it's giving you the dimensions of this grid. And at the end of it, it wanders off into what it says is the distance between the sun and Earth, which we know is a lie. It's not that far away. What it's really describing here is the internal cubed dimensions of a Merkaba. That's where this figure is really coming from. If you follow this through, you will see it is cubing a Merkaba. So consider that, and we'll continue with this. You notice the 666 there, that's been referenced in scripture before, and lies been told about it. Just thought I'd mention that there. Right, so with this configuration, it gives us this. This map here is the one done by series, and I've overloaded this network of grids onto his map. Take a look at the grids. There's an 8 by 8, which is the center grid with these 3 things in each corner, and then the external grid of the 12 by 12. So I'm now looking at how this relates to a world map. I'm using this world map because it's the only world map I've found that shows the true scale of Antarctica. Now you can see correlation going on here where things start to line up. I'm going to go more into detail later in the video of things in between what you can see there also, and more detail on the grid itself. Again, referenced biblically or in scripture, the angels in the north, south, east and west, I think are relating to these 4 corners that are shown on the 8 by 8 grid. The 8 by 8 grid is what we would probably be known as the Antarctic Circle. Going by their own numbers, I think it was 24,800 miles on the globe, you know, the circumference of the globe, 24,800 miles or thereabouts. On this, you know, that would equate to each square on the grid being 3,100 miles going from one side of the Antarctic to the other. Now this demonstration you're seeing here is the whole grid lit up. The 12 by 12 and the 8 by 8 and a Merkaba added on top to see what it's forming. And what a pretty picture it paints, doesn't it? That's where I was going, the Nazca lines. Now a little more detail on the 12 by 12. The Solomon's Temple. If you decode Solomon, it really means solo mono, temple of the sun and moon. Now, if you look at it in detail here, you notice when you put these geoglyphs into a 3D environment and pan around them, you start seeing a different picture being presented. If you look carefully, you will see a 6-tier pyramid with 6 concentric circles encircling it. So that got me thinking, you know, is this something below us? What's down below us? Is this the underworld that's been mentioned? You know, the underworld referenced in scripture and the book of Enoch, these places below ground. Food for thought, perhaps, but it got me thinking about pyramids and portals. Let's take a look at that again. We've got the 12 by 12. We'll overlay the 8 by 8 in. Now then, if you look carefully, is this what the Pyramid of Giza is depicting? Remember, the Pyramid of Giza is referenced in the Bible as a monument. But a monument to what? Is it this place below that it's a monument to? And these exits or entry points that you see on this these four corners connecting to the center, is this what Enoch referenced as portals? Portals, gates, you know, portal translates as a gate, a gateway. But a gateway to what? You know, I start looking at this now and I see electrical connection, your king and queen, your positive and your negative. These star shafts, well, they're probably just cables. Here's some images from Stan Smith and the 360 team's cameras. It shows the moon's path appearing to come from out of the ground and return back in. This is a 360 camera. You know, you're seeing north on the left and on the extreme right and south directly in the center. Same again. You're getting this path of the moon rising up and coming down and vanishing. Which, you know, when you watch the 360 cameras, it does appear like they're going underground below you, following the, you know, the trajectory that they're on. These have yet to be explained, but the model I'm going to present to you, I think, it kind of explains this away. Another part of this project, I'm going to take you to CERN, the technological monster. And people wonder what they do there. Take note of these lights on the ceiling. Because what I think CERN is, I think it's a reverse engineered technology which is capable of projecting a beam we can't see into the sky. If you look at the circles at the bottom, there's a small circle and a large circle. They have counter-rotating flow of energy. And I think this creates a third halo that isn't visible to us, but Enoch referenced as chariots. We'll get more into that, don't worry. And I think the sun and moon actually use these to maneuver around our sky. Take a look at this video taken by Brennan Clark on YouTube. He reported it as a camera malfunction or the unit, the motor that the camera was on, but that was me tracking it. And it appears to go around the outside of one circle around another. This here, I think this is CERN's predecessor. The reason I say that is the design of it. It appears to be alive, neutral, and Earth, with two elements in the center which are possibly counter-rotating the flow, which would create an electromagnetic field. So this is what I think is responsible for what you see and report as the flower of life. It is this technology, the Fibonacci sequence. If that doesn't make sense, keep watching. You know, I'm putting this together. I haven't got a script written out for this. This is coming off the top of my head and research. Here's another thing, a purpose that I think it's doing. Remember, you got the rotating toroidal electromagnetic field, and I think they are responsible for this. Volcanoes. Also notice the mountain range in the background curving around the halo. Remember, we can't see the halo. And it's when you think about CERN, CERN is just one of these, a particle accelerator. Here's another effect I think they're responsible for. Remember, we don't see the halo, but add some water, you're going to get some arcing. So consider that, people. This is a type of technology that is creating a halo in the sky. And what you're looking at is a particle accelerator, antimatter to matter. And if you haven't guessed it yet, you are looking at an angel and its halo. This is an angel and its halo. And this is how they work. They're particle accelerators. You can do antimatter to matter. Because when you start going down the route of looking at into angels, you start going into the Enochian language. Would you believe this was a blueprint found in England, UK? And it's not unique to UK either. Sorry, not a blueprint, a crop circle. It's a crop circle from UK, but it's not unique to UK. This design's been seen before. But the design itself gives the game away to me. Why would something of that design exist? It's got mathematical precision, and its purpose appears to be something to do with these two elements in the center, one being larger than the other and one having a counter-rotating flow. Like I said, when you start looking into this technology, well, I'll say this technology, it takes you into the angelic language. And again, the towers mentioned in the north, south, east, west, and it becomes the union of elements. And that's like a table of elements there, how it works. And it's all, as it says here, it's attributed to spirits, the black cross or the table of union, the forming of elements. The further you look into this, you find it leads to a university in Greece, and then you run into a brick wall. The information isn't public, so I can't decode those, and I don't know if they're real, but to be protected such, it would suggest there's a bit of merit there. This here is my take on what Rahu is. Rahu, I now think, is an angel's halo in the sky, where people have always noticed the sun and moon eclipsing. It seems to be a location, and this could be the reason why it's always that location, because it will always be there. But the rotating flow of the halo and the sun and moon going across it, one going one way, one going the other, as we noticed in the August eclipse. Ketu would be the complete opposite, the sun on the near side and the moon on the far side. Right, look at this webcam footage from Noumea Station in Antarctica. Do you see unusual movements from our sun and moon there? Or the actual closeness of our sun and moon, should I say. That station's facing roughly south, southeast. So that sun and moon rise came from the south of Antarctica, which has been mentioned by Admiral Byrd before. But do notice on this footage, this is real footage from their own cameras. It's a German station in Antarctica. Look what's going on here with the sun. Does this look normal to you people? You can go on YouTube and look at loads of videos of this. I'll give you links even to some of them. There's things going on here that is not normal to our sun and moon. And not to mention the closeness of how they appear going past this station. Take a look at the moon here on this clip. Look how close it looks. I urge everyone to go and search this camera on YouTube, because you will see some amazing, phenomenal footage of our luminaries going past this area, which don't make sense unless you start considering technology. You're going to have to consider a technological world, people. Here's some real footage of real halos that people are capturing in the sky of the sun going round them. These aren't fake, these are real. And if you look on the halos, you will see nodal points. There's nodes on the halo. The two closest to the sun usually lit up quite bright, which gives the effect of 2 or 3 sunrises or sunsets, which people seem to report. But it's a halo projected from below, and the sun is traversing it on its set path for that time of year, wherever it may be. But these are real. And what I want people to do here is go out and record these if they see them, because we need to locate these and put them on the map. So if you see one of these halos in the sky, try and record its location. Roughly, if you can guess the center of the halo, that would help. I would expect it to be a hill, volcano, mountainous terrain perhaps. And the reason that you're seeing them is because they spray barium. Barium will illuminate a geomagnetic field line from pole to pole. So we're looking at electromagnetics. It's an electromagnetic projection into the sky from said angel below. Consider that, people. Now let's take a look at what that would look like. We already know there's 48 on the external of the 8x8 and 32 on the internal. But we know there's more than this because, like I said, when you go down the angelic language, you find there's 92 angels minimum. But there's still another 12 to locate and put on that grid at a minimum. You might remember these mimic maps, the mimic maps there that we looked at before. Now, if you watch this one carefully, you will see a double helix forming as part of it. And also notice the heavy signalling going from Easter Island on the left and somewhere off Australia on the right. Heavy signalling goes towards Antarctica from Easter Island. Interesting. The double helix, and not to mention the double helix, but the date. The date's quite important because this was the winter equinox in 2016. And it tells me there's some kind of switching going on. And these, whatever's at Easter Island or below Easter Island is sending signals down to Antarctica. And things are being switched, which is how I think it creates the seasons. Things will get rerouted and switched on and off. The sun and moon's paths will get rerouted around these halos and the orbits of those larger halos you've seen, and go about its business. Take a good look at this. You know, you can see it. This was recorded from their own mimic map. They're now trying to hide this. They cut those lines out and they make a bad job of it, actually. And you'll see where they're cutting pieces out to try and hide what's going on. Also, Hawaii is playing a part. There's lots of places in the world playing a part in this. So I'm revealing to you how it is technologically driven, is where I'm going. The technology involved in how this world works. Notice the signaling, see it? You can't miss it. There's even another type of signaling comes from down there that you haven't seen on this one, but I think it's scalar wave signaling. And it spans the whole of South America going towards the United States when it signals. Now, this is the double helix overlaid on, I'll just pause it there. This is the double helix overlaid on what series found and calls the four pillars, which point towards the center of our world. Say, Africa would be just slightly right of center in the middle of that helix. You see the pattern it's forming there between these four pillars. It's like a signal looping back and through between these four pillars. Again, the four pillars biblically referenced. The Bible's telling truths, and it's panning out into what the research we're finding here. Here's some overlays of earthquake data and possibly volcano data, just so I can see how it relates to the grid. I'm trying to follow paths on this grid to see what's going on with this grid. There's 20 years worth of solar eclipses. Now, if people can make sense of that, excellent. It doesn't mean a lot to me. I just thought I'd overlay it and show it people. I've added this clip because I seen a video a few weeks ago, people wondering about something in the Book of Enoch when it mentions mountains will jump into the sky like lambs. Well, the only time they can do that is if there's an angel below and a halo above, because the halo above has got that pull factor on land. Like I said, it raises land mass. I also think the Egyptians figured out how to harness this upward toroidal field of energy. And that's what the pyramids possibly were designed to do. And here's Easter Island, the statues on Easter Island, silently telling their story of involvement. They are playing a part in this somehow, but it doesn't appear to be anything on the surface. It seems to be below Easter Island where those signals are coming from, because I can't see antennas on the surface. Whatever's happening there, it's coming from below. So now we have this kind of projection. We've got these halos in the sky. These are the ones you would probably call the tropics. And then there's also smaller ones to fit in on this, where these dots on the grid align. So that's there's 80 to go on the grid, 80 halos, say, plus whatever other ones we can locate. So we do want people locating these halos in the sky. We need them mapped out. I think that's what they've been doing with the bearing, mapping them out where what's where, and we're just following their footsteps here. They're mapping the sky, so we better grab the opportunity and do the same. Where these halos located, you can see where these ones would be located on this world map, and you can see where it intersects key sites. The red and gold parts are elevated terrain. So wherever you see red or gold or yellow, it is elevated. And you can see where this grid would play a part in the elevation. I would expect to see raised landmass like you can see in south. If you look at Antarctica, all those lines intersect at a southern point. So that landmass, it makes sense to me that landmass would be more raised, and that's the data series is getting. It's very elevated compared to the rest of the world. And I would attribute that to the congregation of that grid being there. There's rock down there playing its part on the grid. There's a lot of sites in the world playing a part on this grid. And what we'll be doing is adding them slowly but surely over time, as we figure out the world map and such. You know, all these ancient sites need placed on here. Here's some magnetic data series overlaid. This is a snapshot of a magnetic data overlaid on that world map. Can you see how it comes down in the north and south and kind of loops over the top of the world, the known world? This is a view looking north from South Antarctica. Magnetic lines again. Does it make sense to you people? Does it remind you of a ribbon cable on a computer perhaps? Different paths to take. Same again. This is looking south from the north. Something in on the east side of the map there, going up over Australia and coming down Antarctica. And on the opposite side, on the west side, you've got it coming from Antarctica, going up and coming down and appearing to go into the sea. Very strange. That's magnetic data, rail data overlaid. So maybe this old map here does have some merit after all. These are the world chakras. And if you look at them, you know, there's some interesting locations there and it makes sense. You're getting a double helix end out of the shape. Take note of the text at the bottom. Gates 5, 10, 11 and 12 are spinner wheels marked SW. I think you should be able to work out now what a spinner wheel really is. It's a halo. And it's helping guide this signal around the world. There's look at the bottom left there, female great dragon, and you've got a male great dragon. I think we should know now dragons are probably volcanoes. You know, that would make sense, but I never considered a female dragon. A female and a male dragon. Yeah, interesting. So something else to take into account here, people. I'll just leave it playing and you'll see it. Are we looking at something like this? You see where this is going? Stan Smith and the 360 team are currently looking into this kind of relationship. And so I thought I'd put that map on there because I can see where my work now starts overlaying into what Stan Smith's team's looking at. I just thought I'd put that there for you, Stan. See if it helps you. But yeah, I think you're on the right path. So let's get down to the heart of the matter, people. This is Satan. You remember Satan? This is him here, the heart of the machine. It said Satan runs the world. Well, if it's technology, then I would have to agree, because this is what's right at the heart of all this technology. So the worry, I would guess, would be, you know, these halos can reroute the sun or moon if CERN or another CERN unit projects one in the wrong place. And who knows what would happen. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some members of my research team, Cat's Eyes, JLO 1982, Bintech and Pix Kathleen, Adrienne, and Will Bishop. These are good people, very good people, good researchers, loyal. I'm still working with these people and others. There's more people coming into the mix. This kind of research is ongoing. You know, the goal here for me personally would be to get all this into Unreal Engine 4 with VR support. So you've got virtual reality and you can take a full tour around the world. That would be nice to see. But I also want the tour Enoch got, the world tour and the underworld tour. When you listen to the Book of Enoch, he's trying to describe something that is impossible for him to describe. So he does his best to describe it. And I think he is describing technology. The easiest thing to describe either. Like I said, I didn't make a script for this. So I'm just like, off the top of the head, I'm guiding you through the kind of research we've been doing. Hello and welcome to APM Seasons. In this video I will be explaining how our seasons work with the sun and the gates. You will be seeing a lot of information on screen, so I'll use this screenshot to help break down what you are looking at. On the left you can see the waveform tracker. This basically tracks the changes across the seasons. We will get into that in a few moments. On the bottom left in green text is information from the creation calendar synced with the seasonal switching. When you see the red chevrons, some extra information is displayed in red above and beside it. At the bottom centre is the astrology tracker. This tracks the zodiac information and a few other things. On the bottom right is the sun gate tracker, which I made to help me decode the gate's correct sequences and track the sun by degrees to help identify the gate switching from Auckland, New Zealand and their perspective bubble. So without further ado, we will continue. We are starting from the March equinox, gate 4R on the map. Each crossing and return of the sun represents 30 days or 1 month, 360 days total over the course of a year. We did add a 24-hour sun. For now I placed it in the path coming up from gate 6F. Boots on the ground needed from the northeastern latitudes to determine where it comes from and heads back towards the east gates. You will be seeing information relating to the sun's return path above the waveform tracker and the object crossing the map from west to east after sunset. We believe these are our luminaries returning back to the east, as we have decoded previously. I do think the sun uses a sinusoidal orbit, but we added them all near orbit also, as there is more than just the sun returning east, and we will be trying to identify them by their set times. You may think those waveforms just depict day and night, but you would be wrong. They physically exist and we have recorded them on the mimic maps. You can see them if you look carefully in the overlays on the top left. You will also see them change with the seasons in the waveform tracker. There are also members in our group recording the ISS passing, so we can try and get a better look at it. We do expect it to vanish completely before your eyes, as we have shown before with the mimic map findings. There is more than one signal moving around the map, and when they overlap, they seem to occlude the light and it reappears elsewhere. This may also be what is creating our lunar eclipse, as the waveforms overlap. Remember, there is more than one luminary moving around up there, and all will have their own unique waveforms. As we have shown in our Power and Glory video, that light in the sky is Isis, Ra's mother, rejuvenating the sun, which actually decodes as a recharging process. Solar rejuvenation, as worded in the 12 Gates presentation. In Christianity, that light in the sky is known as Mary, the star of the sea. How did we forget all this? The information in the Sun Gate tracker was obtained from time and date by P900 Coolpick Sandra. She picked a random year, which in this case was 2006. We recorded the information for sunrise, sunset, total sun hours and the compass degrees to the sunrise as viewed from Auckland, New Zealand. We chose the 25th of each month to make sure the gates had switched, and this helped show me where they would be seeing the sunrise from and help pinpoint the direction to match which gate was in use. I called the rear gates long days and the forward gates short days, as in their groups of 4. This is how it works, lengthening and shortening the days as the sun cycles around the 12 gates. The 25th of March is also the first day of the new year in the Persian and Indian calendars, as an aside. Do notice also how accurate the compass is in catching the gate switches with the sun gate tracker. We do think the sun travels above and below the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, and this is going to require boots on the ground if anyone at those latitudes can help identify if the sun is travelling north or south of those tropics. For full exploration, obviously we would recommend going east, as the eastern gates are closer, it is much warmer, and you should be thinking of where our luminaries are actually coming from, as this cannot be hidden. The first thing I did notice with this is our zodiac is directly linked to the switching of the gates, as you can see in this animation. The gemstones connected to birth signs may actually be created by our sun as it passes over the locales where these gems are found. More work needed there, but as we have shown in a previous video, our star halos are responsible for depositing elements. We see the dispersal as shooting stars and such, but more on that later. In the animation, the sun is finishing its yearly cycle in February from gate 3F and will cross over to March for the new year in gate 4R. The creation calendar works perfectly and now has the gates in the correct sequence, which is 4R, 5R, 6R, 6F, 5F, 4F, 3R, 2R, 1R, 1F, 2F, 3F and back to gate 4R. A little bit more information on the long and short days. Due to the difference in distance between the gates at their front and rear in their groups of 4, these are what are responsible for people assuming the luminaries are travelling faster at certain times of the year. In reality, the sun has just shorter or longer distances to travel west, depending if it is coming from a front gate or a rear gate. Obviously it will have a few thousand miles less to travel if coming from a front gate, and longer to travel from the rear gates in their 4 group sets. There is something else I have to show you. More surprises, isn't there always with this research? Gates 4R, 5R, 6R, 6F, 5F, 4F, 3R, 2R, 1R, 1F, 2F, 3F and 4R. If I were to stand at the equator facing east and take a photo on the 25th of each month, I would capture this image. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our sun's true analemma orbit as dictated by our zodiac and the 12 gates. We are instantly reminded from various cultures, such as the Egyptians, that our luminaries are birthed from between the thighs of the goddess Nut. Do you see this, people? Isn't that amazing? Everything is being placed back into its original context and making more sense. I have added our zodiac signs over these locations. As far as we're concerned, everything still needs decoded and broken down into its correct context. Everything. I guess the question now is, who is going to be the first person to record our sun's true analemma? Good luck, people, and I hope this presentation makes sense to you and helps with your own research.
two assistants.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks again for joining us here at Cat Eyes. Tonight we have the research team. They're going to go over some stuff that they've accumulated in the last couple of weeks, some new discoveries, some real gems here. So yeah, you guys know the crew. It's FPV. We have One Conscience, James, and Cat Eyes. FPV, the floor is yours, brother.
Hello, everyone, before you start.
Cheers, Rotter. Hello, Cats. Hello, everyone. Hello, panel members. Hello, fine peoples in chat. You're probably wondering about the title, Shock and Awe. What we're going to present today, we think will shock and awe you. It should shock you into realizing what it is we live upon and leave you in awe of its creation. because that's what we're revealing here today, the creator's work. To add more to the research theme, the map we're using, it's the one done by series, which you can see the Mercator maps being derived from, and other information that we're using for gathering is done by FE Ron. So a big shout out again for Ron. He's plotting data and gathering information for us in the background. Right, what I'm going to do here is present to you the Nazca lines. I'm going to give you a little guided tour around them to see why they're so important. Now, if you look at the whale in red in the top right, then at the north you'll see north, and on the left you will see solar clock. Now, I've used them to realign the world map based on what we're looking at here, these geoglyphs. So the whale would be northeast Russia, say. The solar clock would be Alaska, and you've got obviously got the north in the center at the top. So I'll play through this and give you a little tour. You should see some current comparisons here. I'll overlay the world map we're using, done by series, and you can see how it blends in here, how it kind of fits. Of course, times have changed since these were carved into rock, so a few changes there over time. But other than that, it's pretty much intact and showing the world map. That's what you can see looking at those shapes. Just the pins in the ground. It's starting to give you the shape of the world map. And these geoglyph locations I've been placing on the map, they're actually location markers of very important items in the underworld. You can see here the whale up above northeast Russia used as a reference. So there's actually two references to whales up there, but I just used the beluga whale. And this one in Alaska. Now, you can see in Alaska there, he's a busy little fellow, this guy. Hold on to that thought as well, very, very important. He's a busy little guy. We'll get to that later on. You can see the two locations I've marked out here to open the world map up into a flat map. So there it is again, the basic shape, and we're going to give you a little tour around what I've been placing on the Nazca lines in Google Earth. What you should be seeing is structure, connections, lots of very interesting information, especially when I'll go into more detail of that later on, but just a little tour of this to show you what I've been looking at and piecing together on the Nazca lines. That's going roughly on the map over towards northeast Russia, say. You see the whale there. On the Nazca lines, it portrays the whale as flattened by something flat, but you can see there it's not flattened, it's actually behind something. We'll get to that a bit later on. But just take a good look around. These lines, according to mainstream, were used for ceremonial processes, say walking down a line to get married, all this kind of ridiculous theories. So that they're hiding this information. This is very important information from Nazca lines. There's geoglyphs. You look at geoglyphs in 3D. You put them in a 3D environment, you will see that the picture is really displaying. This is a little tour. You can see all the lines. I mean, I haven't finished yet, nowhere near finishing. I know these have been done by other people before, but they weren't showing what I'm trying to show you. You can see there the hummingbird, beautiful. And I also notice its beak's actually attached to a structure. The structures are very important in this. So it's a location marker and the structure, what the hummingbird there was actually attached to. Now the hummingbird, it's a message, it sends a signal, it means transmissions. Now, if you look at these, you can see antenna designs here. Most people out there that know any amateur radio or antenna designs would see straight away there's antennas in these images. Like there, the parrot, it's a 2-element Yagi beam, and obviously a repeater because it's a parrot. It's been made so easy to decode this, I can't believe it. We're taking a little tour up north there. That's the geoglyphs up in the north, which I would say probably references the northern portals reference in scripture, would be possibly that location there looking at our map. Again, there's another antenna design. You're going to see lots of the various antennas in this. Lots of signaling going on. There's another. You can see the connections being made. And that the direction the signal would be going, basically. So easy. Again, You see the coils, antennas, structure. That's what I need you to see. I need you to see the structure and these antenna designs and the connections going on. And you can see, look at the, I mean, the area is vast. A lot of these have been covered, built over, farmed upon, you name it. They've been lost, they've been buried, built upon, you name it. It's a shame really what's going on down in Nazca. In fact, recently you've probably seen a headline where a truck driver was driving around over them. He's since been arrested. They called it the United Nations Nazca lines, or World Heritage Site, but it's not United Nations, it is World Heritage, not United Nations Heritage. So just to correct people on that, it's not owned by the United Nations. But I'm pretty sure they're probably behind trying to hide it. There's the spider there. I located the spider off the coast of the USA. You'll see more into that later. You can see it there, the spider. It's actually got its foot inside a part of another geoglyph, which is part of something larger. There's the condor. Fantastic detail, these. Really amazing detail. There's so much detail that it's going to take me a long time filling it in, but I enjoy this. It's amazing watching it come together. There's the monkey. Again, so although Google overlaid this monkey, you'll notice they haven't attached the antenna. It's actually got its hands looping through an antenna, which again, it's capable, it's telling you it's a piece of technology capable of receiving signals and activating something. That's why it's got a piece where the tail, below its tail, you see, notice an extra piece going into the ground. That's to say, that's basically a location marker. But the structure should be jumping out at you in 3D. You can see there various parts of structure and other geoglyphs. I'm not sure what they all mean yet, but I definitely know they're all about signaling. Like that bird there, that would be sending a signal to its left. Like I said, you can do all this yourself in Google Earth. If you've got Google Earth, go to the Nazca lines and start tracing them. You know, it's built into Google Earth. You can plot lines across it, save them any colour you wish, move along. I recommend doing it. It is amazing what you start revealing. So if you haven't got Google Earth yet, grab it and go and practice this. Not just at Nazca, these lines aren't unique to just Nazca, they're all over the world. But Nazca is very detailed 3D blueprints of the underworld, the structure below our world, unknown world. This is what this information is revealing. You'll see more what I mean in a few moments. I'll pause it when the images come up. Right, that one there. You see that? If you look at this geoglyph, you'll notice it's three-tiered. It's actually a 3D. If I've caught it at the right angle, there's your vertical support. There's the horizontal one, and you notice the ramp going up to the second level. And there's another ramp there. You can go underneath to a third level. It's just like a 3-story car park. This is just part of what you're seeing here. I hope you can see that as I'm seeing it. Vertical structure, slope going up to the second story, and then another to the third. Now imagine all these when they were built in this fine detail. A whole 3D blueprint of the underworld. Because this is, it's not the human world, it's what's below. This is structure in the underworld and all linked to the workings of our world. Hope you can see that. 3 stories there. You've got to look at them at the right angle and they will jump out at you in 3D. Here's that antenna again. You can see there, look, it's been designed to be read in 3D with fantastic detail. This one here. See the whale? Now on the original geoglyph, like I said, it looks like it's flattened, or it's got a line across it like it's been flattened. If you look at it in 3D, you'll see basically what looks like, say, a window frame there, and the whale's on the other side of it. It hasn't been squashed, it's just on the other side. It's because you weren't seeing the image in 3D. Now it's in 3D, you can see it's just a whale on the other side of it. And of course here we've got structure again, holding things, support structure. There's the main road. I think it's the Pan American Highway, which is a shame because it cuts right across a lot of this, possibly intentionally as well. They are being defaced intentionally. And this area here, Look at this area. It's almost like a game of mousetrap. Look at the detail going on. Signals can come in, things can be switched, things can be activated. It's as simple as that to read. It's been made so simple to read, it's unbelievable. I'll keep it playing, more to see. With activators, switches. Now, this one blew my mind last night. I don't know, I never noticed it before. Look at the guy in green. Look at this, guys. I can't believe this. He's plugged in. He's switched on. He's got his finger on the button on this console. And he's looking to his right, waiting for the signal. How unreal is that? I just noticed this last night. We'll zoom in a little bit. You see again, more detail. Where it's the bottom of the feet is like hooks. Where the arm is like a wrench, a spanner. It's actually got the spanner-shaped arm there. And the middle finger is going to this button on this console. I hope you can see this. And as you can see from all these connections, it's down below ground, different layers. And again, structure, supports. But that is unbelievable. I never expected to see what looks like some kind of a robot plugged into something, pressing a button on a console. That's. I hope you can see that. That's what's reading to me. That blew my mind last night when I revealed that. A little closer. See the hook at the bottom?
Yeah, I see that.
Finger touching the button on the panel. The wrench for an arm. The eye look. I mean, I haven't finished the head. There's another part there to the head. It might not look like this when I finish, but it kind of blew me away just getting this far when I seen and realised what it was. It's kind of like this geoglyph's about half a mile long. It's just an amazing thing to find. This place just keeps giving you surprise after surprise. Unbelievable. So it's electromechanical robot of some sort. Yeah, anyway, remember what I said now. Keep that thought, the solar clock. Now remember, I said he's a busy fellow. Right, well, very important. What I did there, this is a human trait. What I did there, I give this piece of technology a sex and character. I said it was a he, and they said it was a busy little fellow. So very important you realize that. Technology is by humans is being given sex and character. Take, for instance, your car. Some people call the car a she or a he. So your motorcycle, your motorbike, it's a guy. It's a human trait, guys. Very important that you understand and realize that as we go through this. We've been given technology, sex, and character. Remember that. This, it's not unique to modern times either. This technology is a lot older than modern times. Now you can see here the geoglyphs, the locations. There's the whale, northeast Russia, say, solar clock, Alaska, and various other things going on. I know I've got some of these to relocate now. I know where they go. This would be our 0.0, the star, which is up here now. We'll get more to that later. Yeah, well, I'll leave it playing a sec because look, take a note to this plate in Greenland. Very important plate. I'm going to show you a little bit more about this. We'll zoom in on it, and then this is that plate here, which goes through Greenland. So I'm just zooming, looking at it, and then zooming out. And now I'm going to pass you over to Jimbo because he's got some very important information regarding that plate. So over to you, Jim.
Okie dokie, am I muted? Let me unmute if I am. Okay, I'm not muted. Okay. Well, here's a long story short, I guess. Back in 2011, I was going over Google Earth and just looking for weird stuff. And I saw what I thought was like a bulldozer blade in Greenland just out on the ice somewhere. But as it turns out, after I measured it, it was like 45 miles long, headed north-south, and 12 miles was exposed that went under the ice. It means there was more of that plate under the ice. Well, come to find out, and I'll show you a picture on a share screen here in a second. And I want to share an application. Okay. So this is the picture I pulled off in 2011, the so-called bar out in Greenland. Okay. And this was just what I thought was a bulldozer blade. But when I measured it, this north-south line, which is sort of sideways, the red line, about 45 miles. And then down to the snow, or where it goes under the ice, that's about 12 miles. It would cover most of the island of Montreal, what you see exposed here. But the full size of that plate is probably somewhere more in the neighborhood, north to south, of 1,450 miles, and it descends on a slope or an angle into the ground for another 250 miles or more. And it's one single piece of steel. There are no welds, no solder points, no connected plates, no bolting plates. It's one piece of steel. Now, this piece of steel is not the only one. And what it is, let me share another screen. I guess I have to stop this one. Yes, and then start another one. So I'll start and show you how these plates, again, in the Inca lines, those big rectangles you see, and the big wedges, well, they're basically more of these iron plates laid out in different places across the earth to act as a control system for the sun, deflection plates. So let's get to Google Earth and take a look at that particular aspect. Okay, stop sharing, I guess. Stop.
There was nothing showing the engine, but carry on.
Okay, did I do something bad? Yeah. Let me see.
That's okay.
I can't find my Google Earth in this. I don't know why. It's not showing up in the programs. But let me see if I can restart my Google Earth. Well, I'll just go right to my cam and show you on the wall, and then if I get that set up quick and easy later. Now, I have a pretty big map on the wall with some basically just green masking tape. Hangouts can't understand the selected camera without... camera, please.
Technical problems, guys. Don't worry.
Sorry.
It will be resolved.
Yeah, but that's an amazing find.
Okay, well, I really need to get the camera. I'll shut this off here and see if, I might have to F5 the Hangout and just come right back.
All right.
Let me F5.
Yeah, Jim's going to show you on camera a wall map with some demonstrations.
Okay, so I guess I do have to share for this, right? Application window. Oh, not for the camera, right?
I'll show you, Jim. Hold on.
Okay, that'll be easier.
There you go. You're presenting to everyone now.
Okay. Now, for a lot of people, this probably just looks like a bunch of like green on, you know, things on, laid out on a flat world map. But what this layout represents is actually these metal plates that are placed all over this plane, and they are placed there, these ones in this blueprint, the Nazca lines that, you know, have been decoded. Those bars represent these locations on Earth, and these are huge bars. These are huge electromechanical installations. It's like a big cathode ray tube, or operates exactly the same way an oscilloscope would. The sun is a ray, or a bunch of, well, they call them electrons, a stream, and it is forced into this, you know, magnetically charged areas between these plates. At the east, it started, it's prepared, it's given a kick or a push, a sweep trigger, it's called, gives it to it, starts pushing the sun across from east to west to the west side of the plane. Once it gets to the west side of the plane, another switch, a trigger called a flyback killer, terminates the sun for that day, or at least make sure that its energy is not seen in the split second that it flies back to the east and gets another push to sweep across the plane again. What this design really means is that our sun is not spinning or hurling through space. We are not revolving and spinning on an axis around it, following it through space. The sun is generated locally by this system, and it follows electromagnetic waves that come up from the ground and guide it. In fact, what we're starting to think is these circular disc shape that pushes the sun, it's formed like a cone, and the sun is on top of this cone, and this cone moves across these plates with the light that is our sun on top of it. And that's where I am. Again, all these green lines, the thicker ones, the bar shapes, they're involved with deflection of the sun through the seasons. See, I can get up and point out a bit to you. I'll point it with the light because my headphones won't reach. But up in the north corner there, it's too bright. Up in the north corner, those wedgie-shaped things with those boxes beside them actually magnetize and help deflect the sun. This bar here, north of Russia also. See, this bar is one of the winter season sun guides. There's another bar just off to the west, and it's huge. It's actually the same size as Greenland, but because of the skewing of the maps and trying to hide stuff for generations now, it looks cockeyed. This bar here over Alaska is the same size as the bar over Greenland. But on the world map, the globe, these two bars, the two tips of these bars are pulled towards each other, like it's showing you that it's like 8:30 or 7:30 in the evening, where they actually run parallel to each other.
Can you pan your camera left a little, Jim? We're missing the left part of the map.
Okay, left. That way left, that way left.
That way, that's it, yeah. A bit more. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Okay.
Right there.
So we have phenomena we see. Again, if you notice, there's a bar that comes off, this long bar that's off the east coast of the Atlantic. Now notice it comes from basically the northern Quebec border straight down and crosses Florida. Now there are these huge plates that run underneath from, mid-Atlantic to, between South Carolina, Florida, North Carolina, the Chesapeake, straight back west, all the way to Los Angeles, California, and down to the Baja, and straight back to, Easter Island of all places. Down here, when they're having their summer south of the equator, these plates that run through and underneath the continental, South America, to these two plates that are on the front wall or the west coast of South America. These are two huge plates that have been placed there to work in unison with these plates to guide the sun. This one too runs off to, I think this one's to Easter Island, and this northern one goes to the Hawaiian Island chains. So these deflectors up here help to deflect the sun over these plates for a winter. I figure these two plates here are in the transition of, seasons. And then these plates are the ones responsible for helping the south have their full summer before the cycle switches back the other way. But up here, even beyond where, we can see the symbol is part of, again, the sun's deflection plate, probably for the northern winter. Again, we have that phenomena in Canada where we see the northern lights. Well, there are plates that intersect that run on the western side of Hudson's Bay and also traverse the north of Hudson's Bay all the way to the foot of the Rockies there, nearly to Alaska, where I'm pointing. So this might be a curtain, the conductor for those curtains of lights that rain down as the aurora borealis. These two intersections, well, we call this section right here, just off Florida and the Bahamas, the Devil's Triangle. Well, a lot of things happen with magnetic bars that big and metal objects close to them. So again, that's about, you know, my input was actually for this group in this study was having that photo of the bar helped to identify the symbols on the Aztec maps that was being decoded by FPV as these huge metal bars. And when, you know, after a lot of kind of like brainstorming and mental blockage and other stuff, you know, I looked at the configuration and realized it's like an oscilloscope or cathode ray tube. And again, our sun is created every day in the east, sent across the plane, and terminated when it comes to the west end. Either terminated or the light is suppressed for a split second and it flies back. It ain't turned off, we just can't see it. So that's like just suppressed. Sometimes things take too long to charge up, so you just leave them on all the time and find a way to suppress the signal during the flyback. Basically what happens. So for me, so I should just maybe bow out graciously and let one get involved with some important information that relates to all this. So I guess we're good for passing the torch at this point. Sound fair? Hello?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, all good, Jim. Yeah.
So all yours, one.
All right. Thank you. And hello, everyone. And Katz, thanks for having me on again.
You're welcome.
All right. So, FPV, if you'll put the first picture up for me, please. Okay. So what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks is studying more details of the earthquakes and the earthquake pressure. So what does science say the earthquakes are? Science says that when rock underground suddenly breaks along the faults, this causes a sudden release of the energy and it causes the seismic wave that shakes the ground. When two blocks of rock or two plates stick a little, and then when the rock breaks, the earthquake occurs. So that's science's definition for earthquakes. So that does make sense to a point until you begin to study what we're studying. So my explanation is a bit different. So that does make sense to a point until you begin to study what we're studying.
Jim, can you mute, please?
So my explanation is different. So that does make sense to a point until
Jim, can you mute your mic, please? Jim, can you mute, please?
Okay, sorry about that.
Rebecca.
Okay, so my explanation is a bit different. What the plates actually are pretty much real plates, like Jimbo was showing you, and FPV. And they are the mechanics, the technology that carry this energy that the FPV was showing you. So when these signals are sending, that's what these earthquakes are. They are the shaking of the earth as the energy transfers into different areas. Excuse me. So they activate daily in the designated areas, such as the sun moving into an area, the way FPV and Jimbo were showing you. The pressure actually seems to stay a bit north and south of these sun paths. So this is telling me it's holding it in the designated path for the time of the year it is by creating the path with the energies from the north and south. So can you go to the next one, please, FPV? Okay,
Well,
so that'll work. So this picture is a picture of actually of today. It was yesterday into today. So the yellow dots are the earthquakes, and the orange line is the path that our sun took yesterday into today. So if you see what I'm talking about, how there's a line of quakes north and there are quakes south. Now, please remember that I don't get a lot of data from the south. But if we look at the terrain and how uneven it is and how many lifted up areas, we have to definitely assume that these areas get lots and lots of earthquakes, because that's how land masses are raised, is this pressure rolling through and pushing up from the underside. Okay. So that's what I was trying to show you by when I was explaining about the north and south are kind of sending the energies to the center, which is creating this path for our sun to travel. What this also explains to me is antipodes. Because the pressure is popping up in our hit spots. Would you go to the next one, please? So the sun, I'm sorry, the quakes are popping up in our hit spots as the sun enters to illuminate the area as it leaves the area. And so that's our back and forth motion. So what that means is that these quakes are popping off as the sun enters a certain area, as well as when it leaves the area as far as illumination. Mind you, this also happens for the moon. So if the sun is coming in from the east, which it does, as it crosses over the Indonesia area, as it enters that area, we get quakes. And then again, as it goes into dusk, it also gets quakes. So it's the energy transferring through the earth and entering and leaving these different areas. These happen each day. I have actually tracked this for quite a while, everyone knows. A good example of this occurrence is, and I may pronounce it wrong, so I apologize, it's Oaxaca, Mexico. So for the last week or so, I've been kind of watching every quake as it rolls through, and that particular place has been getting little swarms of quakes at the same time every day. At the exact same time that was happening, a place in Chis, France was also getting quakes at the same time that was. So that's an antipodal thing. One is in Mexico and one is up in Europe. And what that tells me is that the one in Mexico was quaking as the sun entered over there. At the same time, the one in England and France was quaking as it seemed to move out of that area as dusk came on. One more interesting thing that kind of adds into this is that today a small shift occurred, and the quakes that were happening in Chis, France actually moved northeast into Chalice, France, and it's allowing the sun to bring its path back north as we get closer and closer to our northern summer. So the energies are going to move up a little bit, and they're going to move back down, down, down as the north gets its summer and then the south gets its summer. So pretty much like I was saying, all this is showing is the energy moving through the plates. It runs like a machine, and the different quakes, the one I'm showing today is pretty much just the sun path quakes. So you'd have to imagine that different plates and different signals are going to cause different occurrences on Earth. And that's about all I have, really. So I'll let FPV take back over.
Okay, thanks, Juan. Fantastic information there. While this image is on screen, guys, I'll just point out this also explains the 24-hour sun in the north. You see the loop it's taking? Well, the path. That is what would create our 24-hour sun in the north. Obviously, we don't see it this time of year because it's a few thousand miles even further away, and a bit possibly even switched off. But that seems to be the loop. So while that's on screen, you can see there how on this map you would get the 24-hour sun using this halo system. Now we'll get back to more into the halos and such now. I'll just stop that and represent.
No, that's really interesting stuff. But I just wanted to ask you guys. You ever notice we have 24-hour sun in the Arctic, but we never have a 24-hour moon, do we?
No, it seems to change quite regularly. The moon. We haven't done a lot with the moon at the moment. This seems to be the geoglyphs, and the setup seems to be based mainly on the sun that we're seeing. You know, unless it reveals itself more in more geoglyphs as we keep going through them. But
what I'm saying is, it seems like the moon it's functioning a little differently, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just being switched on and off.
It's still some stuff like that to look at, but I think it's the same operation. It's using the same mechanisms to operate. Right, I'll carry on with this, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right, so you notice we relocated the. Why is that stopped? Pause there. Yeah, relocated the portals, which is these things in the corners here. These are the portals referenced in scripture. We've relocated them to north, south, east, west. Originally, we had them over in the northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, but now it makes more sense than where they're being at now, especially with the data one showing you there about how the sun is interacting with the center of this map. You can see here this star type thing in the center. These are connections underground going to angel technology, which is controlling the motions of the sun across the face of our world, basically. These interact with it, and it gets handed from one to another and moved around to create the path that one showed you. And over the course of the year, it'll switch up and down over 6 positions. That's our current way of looking at it at the moment, and that kind of ties in with Enoch's description of how the portals were. It's switching up and down 6 positions over the course of a year, giving you your northern summer and your southern summer. It's as simple as that, and then it moves back up again. It's just moving up and down all year long. You'll notice down off New Zealand there, the portals, people in New Zealand, a few thousand miles east of you is some very interesting locations, as you can see there. This is where they would be located. Now the Bering Strait, that's been mentioned before, you can see now why it's so secretive and hidden and all that, because when you open the map up to a true flat map, Alaska and Northeast Russia are on opposite sides of the world. They've taken the flights in the north to give you the globe A style projection. So that's a little bit of information about the flights. Again, series map. We're going to show you how we relocated the meridian, because we did have it just off the coast of Africa, but if you look on this mimic map, I managed to capture 0.0 signal, which helped us relocate the meridian right to there, which now, you know, it lines up perfectly on the equator and everything. It was anyway, but yeah, it was more west than we thought. Now this animation, I'll just pause it. Right, this what I'm showing you here is how the portals would work without any of the halo systems being activated. It's just basically shooting across the sky from one side to the other. This is how it would work. Now, with the portal system activated, you'll see a totally different story, because this is what's called trapping. It's electromagnetic trapping and manipulation and handling of our sun. It traps it, it manipulates it, and it moves it around these halos across the face of our world. Don't worry, we do have visuals on this video proof. And you can see now how it would slow it down and start making it go to where it needs to be. It can take any path on here, it's all preset and pre-programmed. That's just to show you how it slows it down, and it can manipulate it to a path where it wants it to be, and then it'll, as Jimbo says, it'll get to the side, the sweet killer will take care of it, or it'll recycle it depending what time of the year it's on. This doesn't seem to be happening in the south for some reason. Other information on the screen. This screen is going to overwhelm you. This is CERN's setup in Europe. This is also its setup, and I've overlaid the centre of our grids here to show you how these 8 segments match the 8 segments on here. So there's your divine 9, your 8 around the centre and the 1 in the centre, 8 around here and 1 in the centre, your divine 9. That seems to be in control of all these, what we would call like slave systems. These ones on the outside that aren't connected to the line, they can still receive transmissions and activate as and when needed. And that this is related to the earthquake data we've been tracking and showing you. It's these switching on and off create a magnetic field, and this is what the sun's traversing across. As you can see in this animation here, it would go around the edge of this halo and then it would be passed to another. This bottom left image, this is CERN setup. Notice the halo with 8 nodal points, which is exactly what we've been seeing in the sky already. So in other words, CERN is a reverse engineered angel. Angel being technology we've been giving sex and character to for a very long time. I hope that makes some sense. So that's what's happening there. It's electromagnetic trapping and manipulation. And you know, you can see Shiva there. Shiva is an angel, and as its halo. It's as simple as that, guys. Everything's been skewed and twisted around into another kind of story. What you're going to see here is 100 years worth of eclipses. Just to show you that you can see the sun and moon's paths going across here. Mainly the sun's, you know, solar eclipses, so it's showing you the sun's paths. And you can see them straight lines now being manipulated around the centerpiece. It should give you a better descriptive, a better visual presentation of what's really happening. Here's 1,000 years worth of eclipses. 1,000 years, guys, in the blink of an eye. But you can see how it's been manipulated. That straight signal is being manipulated around the face of our world by this technology. And these things are everywhere. There's thousands and thousands of them. But looking at the Book of Enoch, he will literally say there's thousands and thousands. You'll find it in there. And they have to be. There's not just these primary 9 at the centre. There's plenty of others that have to manage to pass it over. And our current thinking is now the electromagnetic plates, what we call the tectonic plates. The theory now from us is when these come live, when the sun gets onto one of these tectonic plates, it activates a whole network of angel technology and the halos in the sky to pass the sun across. Now the sun, we think, could be something below ground in the physical halo below ground. Remember, the one in the sky is a projection from technology below. So there's a physical halo below ground with nodal points. And it's very possible the sun's going around this and we're seeing something in the sky being projected there from below. Either that or the sun is something in the sky and it's being passed along these magnetic pyramid-shaped magnetic fields. You've seen them in the images before from series. You can see here's some real footage of these said halos. These aren't CERNs, these are existing ones. You can see there people going out recording them. You'll see the sun's always going around the edge of it, and it's magnetically trapped and traversed to where it needs to be and handed over to another. And we think the tectonics, when it comes online, when the sun connects to a plate, say the Nazca plate, the whole plate becomes alive, it energizes the air around it, which creates daylight, and we think the sun is a secondary light. That's our current thinking. These two images came from P900 Sandra, she's probably in the chat there. You can see there on the left of the image, part of a nodal point captured. They show more when there's barium in the atmosphere. When you see barium, you see the whole halo and nodal points. But here, it's some kind of chemtrails illuminated this nodal point to the left of the sun in this image. And from Michelle in the States, you can see one there on the right. You'll see these everywhere, guys. Keep your eyes out for them. Very special, very unique. We estimate the size to be about 6 miles in diameter of each halo. And like I said, there's thousands and thousands of them. There has to be to move it, to move this across the sky. We're talking lots and lots of technology down below ground. And as you can see from the Nazca lines, it's a very detailed, structured environment. You know, what they describe as hell. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be hot down there. There's a lot of work going on. But yeah, it's not what we thought it was. And there's definitely an underworld. 100%, because the Nazca lines are portraying it. So that's where I was up to with this research, guys. Any questions on that, people, or you want me to go over anything else, or anything that's add from you guys?
Well, I was gonna ask James if you wanted to talk a little bit more about his 2011 find of the Greenland bar. If you just wanted to tell us a little bit more about that discovery and how you didn't think it was anything significant then, and well, here you are today. So you want to just take us back to that point there?
I was just going to say, yeah, I think you should tell them how you felt, Jim, and how it's changed since.
If you're still there, James. I think he's still on mute from before, you guys. Hold up.
Okay, I think I'm good.
All right.
How did I get here? I don't really know, but it's been long and arduous, and I can say that the circumstance that led to all this like information coming together, and hard to disprove metal plates that are 1,500 miles possibly long and sticking out of a country and a continent like a sore thumb, and seeing their behavior and stuff. See, this plate goes down on an angle and there's heat under it, and what heat has to rise comes up along the edge of the plate, follows it to the surface, and it's hot enough to melt rock and create that volcanic activity. I first saw that when I was a kid, and I was fascinated by the lava, but that oddity of big metal bar above it was kind of like weird, but it never really entered my mind that whatever. Later, I snatched a photo off the internet in 2011 and then wind up here talking about, and what it is one of the biggest secrets that's out there, things that these Freemasons and these Jesuits and all these people know. They know how structured and how symmetrical this world is. They know all these creators of fiction and the brainwashing that we're on a very square plane, and in all likelihood, I suspect, like others, there is more land south of south at the so-called, Antarctic. There's more north of north, where we call the so-called, where we twisted Russia around and, made it follow a hula hoop. You got to get that hula hoop, things moving in circles out of your mind. That's just a way to keep you dizzy and spinning. Even the stars, if we know now the sun and the moon are following these paths and stuff, and they're going in straight lines, the fact that we see stars moving in a circle doesn't mean that they're moving in a circle. Just like the sun looks like it's going round and round, and it's not. Then maybe the stars aren't going in a circle. They're going straight too. So maybe it's not worth arguing about, the northern dark horse and its rotation one way and the northern, dipper and stuff. It's irrelevant. The more of this stuff is figured out, for me, it's like a big pinball machine. It's just magnets deflecting a beautiful cone with the sun on top of it down these plates from east to west, and a whole bunch of, not hell below us, but equipment, sophistication, structure, engineering beyond our wildest dreams. Not no hell. But anyway, like I say, we're in an engineered environment. This world that we're in was created. And how did I get here? I guess maybe, with all the circumstance and, I don't know, but it didn't happen by, my hand or anyone else that's here. It'd be too long to organize and think up and plan out over decades. You can't. It's someone else's work, That's what I think brought me here. It was destined, and I'm just a simple person, and so is everyone else here on the panel. We're nothing special. But I got the door, so I just gotta bow out and let someone else talk for a minute. Be back.
Yeah, okay, Jim. I'll just present this, guys. There's a bit more to it than you think as well, people. What you're seeing here is what series took from Google and managed to convert into a real map. So that's the map we've been showing you there, but there's more to this. This is what's north of this map. Now, the information's all, we can't, you know, series can't decode the information there. It's been hidden from us. But you can see there, this is what's in the north. And of course, Antarctica. And not to mention these strange things here at the bottom. So this is the complete maps taken by series from Google Earth and decrypted back into square images, and this is what it produced. So you can see there, it's a lot larger than you think. You know, the world doesn't end here. There's definitely more things in the north, and I'm seeing the same on the Nazca lines. Above this area, on the Nazca lines, I'm finding parts here for things. And of course in the south as well, I'm finding parts that would relate to South Antarctica. There's no, you know, there's nothing to say this also doesn't go east and west.
And this is he removed the algorithm to come up with the square map.
Yeah. What the series did was he took the round images from Google Earth, which converts everything to a ball, and squared them back off using an algorithm, and this is what was produced out of Google itself. So the data was in there, and it was just hidden with algorithms. And series done this and generated this world map, and you can see the Mercator map basically is copied off this map. This is where it comes from by the look of it. It's derived from this map, although it's kind of compressed in the north to give that globe sloping appearance, I guess. Plus they hide a lot. They do hide a lot of data in the north as well. So yeah, we know there's more land and such north of our known realm. South has got more land than everywhere else, and it's very elevated. And like I said, there's nothing to say there isn't things east and west of these areas that we're not even aware of. We know roughly where the portal regions are that control the luminaries, and I mean all luminaries that are controlled. They're not.
Yeah, it might be worth noting too. Another possible word for portals, because some people might be uncomfortable with it, but technically they're called gates. You know.
Yeah, portal gate. Portal translates as a gate, just a gate. Yeah. Electrical. In electrical terms, yeah, put it down as a gate. That would make more sense.
It's less metaphysical. It doesn't draw people down that path. This is physical hardware up there and physical operations, you know, properties of electricity, etc. You know, it's hardware, it's not metaphysical.
Well, you can see how hard it was for Enoch to try and describe what he was looking at. You know, he couldn't comprehend what he was looking at. Clearly, he was given a tour. He was shown everything. He'd done his best to describe it and get his message across. And when you start reading the Book of Enoch, or you know, various types of scripture, the older the better, I find, because it's been less tampered with or changed.
Well, I have a site that can give everyone a little taste of what Enoch saw, although it's, you know, slightly skewed because of, you know, the algorithms and stuff. It's still a beautiful view from above, and it reveals the plates around the, you know, Bermuda Triangle, all this stuff. It might be nice to just give that visual that anyone can go anytime and see these fires and weather patterns over them and stuff. How about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let me try.
Any research definitely include a technological aspect to it in what we've been describing here, and it should help your research.
Absolutely, and this will be a real good visual. Oops, I'm not showing the link on my. I hate this thing. I really. How do I? Yeah, share. Where's the button go? Where did the Hangout go? Sorry about that, folks. Give me 1 second. There's the Hangout. Try to share that one, I guess. Here. And whoops, we get this one away. Sorry if I did a no-no. Is my screen sort of up and sharing?
Yeah, I see it, Jim.
Okay, so this is the weather map from Earth Null School, where they removed that circular one that, you know, was so complained about, you know, because anyway, I don't miss it now seeing this, but in any case, this shows kind of our weather out over the Atlantic. And like I say, there's a bar that runs from basically the foot of Iceland here, where you see this little swirl going, all the way down literally to across from Florida. And then more plates that join across the Americas, right to out here by the Hawaiian Islands, where you see again, you know, definite lines where these weather patterns are forming. They represent bars, you know, these huge metal plates. Where else can we see some in action? Again, you have a good one. Where we go? Okay. Again, there are plates that run straight under Africa here, coming up towards, or here, sorry. You can see this triangular shape. That's part of a wedge that goes straight under the South Africa, Johannesburg, and butts out here. But, you know, it's masked, it's distorted with their algorithms, but these lines that we see that and swirls that we couldn't understand are almost the eddy points where two plates join, like down at the Bermuda Triangle, right, where that 90-degree plates meet. There's different effects when you have, in electrical things, a contact point, you have like a barrier, a junction, and a barrier, there's always some resistance, you know, and that resistance has to be transferred into different energy forms, whether it's light energy, sound energy, heat energy. There's any number of things at junction barrier, and probably multiple things that come out of these junction barriers, and different magnetic patterns and stuff, and vortices. Now, if you can imagine a boat full of iron or other products that's a couple of football fields long, say 600 yards or whatever, 300 yards. Well, it's moving over a plate in sometimes shallow water that might be magnetized, that is 200 miles wide and 1,500 miles long. And a magnet powerful enough to shoot up a magnetic field, probably 60,000 feet or more into the air above it. I mean, you know, it's, that thing is well known, and they call it a devil's triangle. And they've been letting people go out there and, you know, get hurt basically, and they know what's there. These shipping companies, these moguls, they know these layouts, they know what's there. But they don't care, they'll take the chance and, you know, ship a container worth $50 million or more of goods, and they just want to get there on a certain date. They don't care if there's danger. They get paid anyway, you get insurance if you lose a load or something. You can't lose. Anyway, these things are well known, and you know, there are things that happen that are much more predictable than they claim. You know, I contend that volcanology, those guys are full of soot. You know, the dark stuff comes out of a poorly burning fire. They're full of soot. And so are geologists, and so are all of those so-called sciences, because they're all aimed at skewing and distorting and promoting this, you know, so-called science, which is just a tool being used to babbleize everything and keep people confused and believing idiots like Bill Nye, may I name a few, and Neil deGrasse Tyson and other propagandists and just purveyors of all of this nonsense. And simple people, sometimes they're really good people, believe them over whatever might be the real truth. I don't know where that came from.
But the point is, of course, that the Earth is a circular dish surrounded by a barrier of ice.
I don't know where that came from. Let me get it off.
Andrea Barnes have been attempting.
See, I'm being attacked here. The other computer just turned on by itself, sort of. Let me try to shut it off there. No. Okay. But anyway, these plates have been well known. The fact that volcanoes are probably, and I'm pretty sure, switches turning off and on, controlling the sun, and other sensors telling others to control the weather, you know, or do any number of functions that are needed to keep our environment livable, including all the weather adjustments we need. So if this plate layout and we have a actually created sun that's local, then there's no ISS, there's no red car in space now, there's never an astronaut that spoke a true word, and on it goes. So, you know, I keep saying, NASA, I want my money back, and I think all of us are entitled to some. So even if NASA goes bye-byes, our governments are responsible for giving us restitution for some of that money. That's all there is to it. They can disappear, it don't matter. It's just, the government will stay real and, you know, have a different influence over it, hopefully pretty soon. And better reality will exist for a whole lot of people. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. It's a construction.
No, I agree. Going back to your junction barriers, James, would this be like the same thing as what One Conscious was talking about as far as being PowerPoints?
Yeah, well, you know,
there a
there's so many
to
ways to have switches trip and activate, pressure switches. You know, if you have a pressure switch, it can be beside something. If it heats up, it expands, puts pressure on the switch, which engages, you know, a fan to cool it off or another action. See, one thing that's hard for people and might be a bit hard to wrap your head around, this is a system based on synchronization and not on time. Time is non sequitur. If I had to set all this before I put it in operation, you don't calculate no time nowhere. You set conditions, condition variables and stuff, and then you set it in operation. It has nothing to do with time. And this synchronization can self-adjust depending on the variables that are input during periods of its cycles, or, you know, it has built in, normally, like, okay, we'd say, oh yeah, our sun works on time. That's not actually the truth, and we have to adjust for seasonal or yearly differences. We all see it, leap years, all this nonsense. It's allowing for that, you know, it's sort of like again, there has to be tolerances. A system cannot do what it does and not have flexibility. Again, it has every kind of sensor you can imagine to know what's going on for us, and the ability to change it at its will, or even at God's will, because I'm sure God is still very much in control of all this. But not to go preachy or nothing, but I mean, this is a structured environment that we live in, a huge, huge constructed world, and we're just so blessed to be here. We don't deserve to be lied to and, you know, hidden from the truth. This stuff was scratched in the sand. When I was 5 years old, my dad should have been able to tell me about it, and his dad should have been able to tell him, and your parents should have been able to tell you. We should have been able to understand that, you know, stories of the Thunderbirds and the giants and the Nephilim and all this stuff. Even, you know, why hide the Book of Enoch from us? Remove it from study. Huh? What are you trying to hide? They're just trying to edit the narrative, create a truth where there was some truth, but, you know, edit it to control.
They have done that, and, you know, in all religions, you know, any monotheistic religion, it has the same attributes. Each god has the same attributes as the other, so they're all based off the same principle, you know.
Yeah.
That animation Jimbo showing there, guys, you can also see where technology in use. You can see where the halos are, and this is what's creating the winds. Scripture doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. It is responsible for generating winds, tornadoes and such.
And where you see, I think the plates on, it's darker gray, where they're, you know, highlighting the magnetic, look how straight this line is here, and how straight this uptake is, or whatever. These are just like magnets. You're seeing, like, we put powdered iron on, you know, a bunch of magnets here and there and move them around. It's basically what you're seeing, you know. Just they change the magnets under the plates to adjust, and that's what we're seeing. It's all magnetism from below, controlled by technology. It ain't hell. It's a real place with dimension, with switches, with, you know.
So this truly is an electric universe, isn't it?
No, it's, well, yes and no. It's runoff of wave energy, definitely. I don't say electricity.
Wave energy,
no,
okay.
There's no electricity on flat Earth. Like I say, I've described that to people before. Everything's
Yes, you
insulated.
have gone over it before, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the transformers, primary and secondary windings, are totally insulated from the iron core that separates them. And only, well, magnetic induction in Henry's moves or creates a tension, just kind of like a rocking effect, and the whole thing is a rocker effect. That's how, anytime electricity flows, it creates magnetic waves. So basically, you flow a coil, electricity through a coil, you're going to get a magnet produced or a magnetic effect produced about it. Metal helps to amplify it, basically, like picking up tons of scrap metal at a yard with one of those electromagnets. That extra.
Yeah,
metal.
I think you called it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you called it flux wave or something like that.
Yeah, flux, gauze, or it's just the kind of wave compression between these waves that are being forced and pushed around in a very specific direction. Like they come out of the north end and they return back to the drain, south, wherever the south may be. It's directional. And they, like I say, I believe, people don't say it that way, but the magnets, the hard magnets we have, the permanent magnets, they're oriented domains of iron. They're crystals that are pointed north and south, all aligned in rows and columns, if you will, and they are able to rectify anything, any signal that hits them, no matter what wavelength, no matter what frequency. The microwave, I don't care. If you sing through it, it'll change those waves. It'll clip them in half, and some of that energy, well, it's sort of not energy, or it'll be lost as heat, and the rest, it has to go somewhere. It has to. It's an imbalance.
Yeah.
I
know I mentioned this earlier.
Like,
I know I mentioned it earlier, but I always wondered, why don't we have an Arctic moon? You know what I mean? Why the moon is not visible for 24 hours in the northern part of our plane, or the northern part of the square?
It's likely it's created by the same kind of mechanisms that and magnetic fields that, because it is called the lesser light. So I imagine that there's a series of switches and a limitation to where it can go depending on the magnetic configuration at the season, where normally you'd expect it, say, to go higher. It just doesn't, because it's not there for those plates. It does disappear 3 days a month. So I don't know. I'm really not even able to wrap my head around most of this. It just, honestly, for me, it got so mind-boggling that your brain almost goes numb and you go into a sort of paralysis almost. It's so mammoth in scale. Think of it, a huge plate like that, the size of the continent almost, 250 miles by 1,450 miles by at least 40, 50 feet thick, moved as a single piece, and that's not the only one. And they were placed and engineered. No freaking Big Bang did that. You gotta have holes in your head to think that anything but a creator could manufacture a piece of steel that big and make this place over more infrastructure below and above. No, you gotta have holes in your head. Now we know. I know. I always knew there was a creator, but the sort of, all that ignorance and all that. I've got, a few atonements to make. Another story, another chat.
No, but when you think of the God that made this, or the creator of this realm, of this construct, I mean, that piece is enormous, man. Like, seriously, he's like, must be like the titan of all titans to create this puny little world that we're in. We're just like this little experiment, if you will. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Because you know what? This piece was cut from bigger pieces. A bigger piece. it's hard to comprehend. But even that piece, it might have been 4 times as big and who knows how long, and then cut into sections to do the job. Though the bar in Iceland is like, here, I can show you. Let me cam up again for just a split second. Just have to stop sharing and cam up. And I can show it right there probably. Here. Okay, where's the cam button? Hello, cam button. Hello. Okay, wrong window.
Yep. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
To get back to, I hate these windows. There's too many. Oh, I think I showed the URL or something accidentally, so I hope people are on guard.
Yeah. Yeah, and if anybody in chat have any questions, Cats or FEV can read them off.
There was one there, or someone mentioning Antarctica. Why isn't it included? Like one conscience mentioned, we don't have a lot of data from the south.
See,
but part of it is included. And hold on, Jim, before you present, I'll just present this to show them how. Can you see that, guys? That map?
Let me show this.
You can see the magnetic data there going down into South Antarctica. That's kind of at the end of where this 12 by 12 grid terminates. That would be the southern portal, say, that region. That's what that was, the reference to that. Right, back to you, Jim.
Okay, so am I still presenting? Yeah, there's my camera, I guess. Okay, and I'll put that back up there. Good. Okay, down here, I was trying to get away and just take a day off of everything, because let me find the chat so I can at least see what's going on. If everything's okay. God, I hate these windows. There you go. Okay, so you see this little playset for learning electronics and stuff? Well, the bar in Iceland, let me try to dig this out. The bar in Iceland really represents something like this, an electric jumper. But this one's got plastic coating and stuff. But this would basically fit, you know, across, where is it there? Up there, Iceland, Greenland there. I'm too close, but if it's basically like making your electrical connections with just a huge toy set. Everything's uniform. If you know you have a pressure switch and it engages or whatever, I mean if something's too hot, a fan will kick on or whatever. As soon as you know conditions are right, the light, well, it'll go off. And then things will be shut off through relays. Not relays for some of these switches. Millions of pounds, billions of tons. Just the nature of dealing with that much electricity. I know in the biggest electrical installation I worked on, the wire was triple-aught, 10 pounds per foot. The circuit breakers were north and south of the equator. But those are fashioned plates. They're manufactured to do exactly that job, and they were put there to work to help to guide the sun over this plane, over this section, this whatever grid and land masses and all that, but it's constructed like with a huge Lego set that, you know, this would be like God's Lego set, but his Lego set would be, you can't imagine. I can't imagine. But anyway, that's where we are. We're in a world created by, I guess, what you call a God so great, we can't even wrap our heads around what's there. Can't. I can't. Like I say, this stuff, when you really start thinking of it, your brain will go numb. It's okay though, because you know we should have all known this young, and it's in the teachings everywhere. But all these liars that got in our way because they're just greedy people, and they, you know, learned how to manipulate and dominate and all this stuff. You know, they had their run. You know, it was fun. But all empires do come to an end, and like I say, there's probably a better empire to build awaiting there.
What would be